Welcome to another Brand Talk session, and I'm still your favorite host, Ojibe. And today we have an interesting conversation, and I have an interesting personality with me because it wasn't something I wanted to do by myself. I wanted to get someone that I believe have the wealth of knowledge and experience to also talk about this. And before I introduce what we'll be talking about today, let me introduce our guest for today. His name is Miracle Michael, and he's a brand consultant and creative entrepreneur. He's the founder of Ink and Codes and also the founder of Design Series. So I don't know if I missed out any other thing, but let me hear or let the Brand Talk audience hear from you, Mr. Michael, and all. And also, because I really love what you're doing with Design Series. Maybe you just talk to us about Design Series like for a few seconds, so that I will the designer in my audience or in the Brand Talk audience will understand what you guys are doing, because it's really amazing and I enjoyed this year's session. So introduce yourself in case if I missed anything.
Okay, so thank you very much, Ike. Nice to be here. My name is Miracle. I don't need any other special introduction, and I think Ike has done justice to that already. So my name is Miracle, and just like Ike have shared, just a little bit of what we do at Design Series. It's practically a platform that we created to inspire designers to not just be skillful people or skillful experts, but people or creators who can influence and dominate the business world. That's actually what is driving whatever it is that we are doing at Design Series. So it's not a place where we talk about skill. We can share tips, but the primary idea behind Design Series is to have a platform where professionals and experienced experts in the industry can come share the story of their journey and create that enabling environment, where they can get inspiration to, be the best at what they do, right? And dominate their industry, okay? Because we see a lot of designers who are just skillful, but they don't understand the business of design. And primarily, that is what is driving us. So we have lots of programs and lots of activities that community activities that we are creating to inspire to push this vision, right? And our focus is Africa primarily. Okay, we're looking at influencing millions of African creatives, right? To 10x their income, and if you say 100x, that's cool. But basically, to have that understanding that design is beyond skill.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And it's one platform I will advise any designer to be on. And I'm gonna leave the link on our comment or on the caption. So make sure you check out Design Series, check them out, check what they are all about. You don't want to miss next year because unfortunately this year is past, so you don't want to miss next year. You have to just get ready and all that. Like when are we looking at having the next year's what time so that
okay, so for next year
getting ready.
So we are still planning for next year. We don't have a date yet, but we are always our schedule is always at the middle of the year. So, but that should be out at least before the last quarter of this year. We should have been able to clearly articulate both the speakers and all that, because of course a lot goes into planning of this, right? You have to check in speakers, availability. So, but it's always at the middle of the year. So we're looking at doing that just like we did for this year. And by the way, this year is the first edition. The maiden edition next year is going to be an interesting experience, right? So for people who want to first follow us on social media, click on the Instagram handle. We don't have so much to happening there now, but if you join our WhatsApp community, that's where you're going to be getting Then we'll have a Telegram group where we're going to be getting our content as well. So lots of activities happening behind the scenes than what is in social media.
All right. Like I said, I'm going to be leaving the link in the caption. So make sure you click and you follow it up and know what they're all about. And the last question before we get into the main conversation. How is the new job of a dad? How is it treating you now? How is the new job of a father?
You know, one thing about this, Ike, is because it's good to be ready, right?
Yeah,
it's good to be ready. It's not a marriage session, but it's good to be ready before time. I started this journey 7 years ago, and today I'm a dad, and it feels good, right?
Okay.
It's interesting. Just like we were talking before, when life. It's interesting because first is I married an amazing woman. I married someone that I've always envisioned to marry, and it makes the job easy. So marriage is not something. There are a lot of myths on the internet about marriage. It's not what it is. It is the structure that you lay for yourself. Whatever you say it is for you is what it becomes for you. So for me, it's fun, and it's going to be fun all through the way. And I believe to create a marriage where the young generation can be influenced positively, right? So being a dad is fun. Sleepless nights is fun.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to being a dad. I'm definitely looking forward to that, honestly.
I can't wait for yours.
No.
I've told you, I can't wait for yours.
Definitely looking forward to that. Okay, so today we want to talk about an interesting topic. So we want to talk about how we as business owners can effectively sell to our team or our teams, depending on whatever number or structure you're operating at. So, business owners we've fondly heard this, sell to our customers and all. And practically, I believe I want to believe that most business owners know how to sell to their customers. But the fundamental thing is the first customer. It's one thing we've come to agree on when it comes to the creative, the design or the branding community and all, is that the first customer is your team, your employee, your staff, whatever it is. Those are your first customers. So sometimes we get to skip those guys and start selling to the external customers and all. So we want to talk about how do we you're someone that have been running business for a couple of years now, and then we want to know from your own experience, how have you been able to transfer the brand values or the business values because let me make it easier for not just us but for someone listening to understand. Let me use my business. I run a business called Yomidro Cake Delivery Business. So we've done the whole design, we've come up with the strategy, we've come up with the brand guideline, the brand values and all. So now, how do I, as the owner, transfer these to the dispatcher, the social media manager, whoever, because they will be the ones interacting with the main customer, the people that I'm expecting to exchange our service with their money. So this is what we want to understand. This is what we want to understand today. How do we, as business owners, effectively sell to our team?
Okay, thank you very much. First, I will say that this is a very interesting topic. When I got this topic, it got me thinking. I was quite excited to talk about it because this is what every entrepreneur, every visionary, or every visionary person will meet, right? And it has a lot to do with the biggest job on earth, which is the business of dealing with people, right?
Yeah.
The business of dealing with people. And every single thing that we're going to talk about is going to be anchored on people. And people are the ones that create a society. People are the ones that build a nation. People are the ones that build an organization. Everything is around people. The amazing cities in Dubai are built by people. New York City, people. Everything is people. Okay, so when an organization is succeeding, it's the people. So, and that begins to tell you that there is a how, that there is a way, that there is a process to getting people to do what you need them to do. So there is actually a higher version of this discussion which has to do with human psychology. There's a higher version of this which has to do with higher order communication and mind programming and all that. Now, but we are focusing on the positive side, okay? So, and I'm going to bring it down. So our discussion is actually going to focus on two foundations. One is vision and the other is influence. Vision and influence. And why do I say that? Because you cannot sell anything without vision and without the ability to influence, right?
Wow.
So, and somebody may have a vision, but if you don't have the willpower to influence, you don't understand the process of influencing people, okay?
Yeah.
If you don't understand the psychology of persuasion, that's actually a book. It's a very interesting book. I would recommend to anybody to go and find it, especially leaders. So you will find it difficult, and when you find it difficult to sell an idea to your team, guess what will happen to you? You will become frustrated. It is a very bad place to be. When a leader becomes frustrated, you will lose grip of your team, and even the vision can totally disappear. So, and I'm going to start telling you, conversing. When the topic came, I was like, oh, okay, should we go find content and all that too? Well, that is good. I believe that the best way to speak about an idea is through telling your stories. Is through telling stories, especially your own story. So this discussion is going to be centered around my story. So that, and I'm not going to be telling this story so that it looks good to the other person. I'm going to tell you how I've been able to come to where I am today, things I've ventured into and all that, businesses I've ventured into, and how I've been able to lead in my own, in my own small way. So I started at a very young age as an entrepreneur, because I grew up in a very popular city known as Onitsha, and my father is a trader, you can say businessman, mom too, and I moved from seeing him going to a shop to do a whole lot with them to transiting into the direct sales industry, right? And I was able to lead a team of over 1,000 persons, and I got into several of these brands, okay? And primarily, I became a speaker, at a very early stage of my life when I was still 18, and I saw myself trying to communicate my thoughts to people that are way older than I am. So that helped me to build myself, because your self-growth or personal growth is actually, you can weigh it side by side to the result that you get as a leader, because you can't give what you don't have, right? So one of the things I realized over time is all the organizations that I happen to be part of, the direct selling or the network marketing brands that I happen to be part of, all of them had a very strong grip on their vision. And I saw them, and I saw people follow them. Okay, I saw people follow these brands. So, and I realized that the first thing that someone who is going to build a successful organization must do is to sit down and articulate where you are headed. So when we say vision, what do we mean? It's simply asking the question, where are you headed? Or where do you want to be? Okay. So I'm going to use that. Where do you want to be? Okay. And you need to answer this question. Sometimes it doesn't just come like that. You can have it up there, but to articulate it to a content and an information that people can read in a very simple form takes work. And of course, that's why you have to pay professionals like us to do that for you, right? I'm selling that industry right now. Okay, so and then I happened to see this organization and I fell in love, but there's one I actually want to share their story, and it's a Filipino company. Their name is M Global. So this brand has been, I followed them earlier, they are doing well, and they were able to create a system that became like a cult-like system, a cult-like following. And then you're asking yourself, what are they doing, right? What are these people telling people that people can die for the organization? That someone in Philippines created a system, and you are here selling it for him. So it got me to begin to study what their system, because sometimes there is a difference between you knowing what is happening and what is going on. They are not the same. So you can know what is happening, but you don't know what is going on. So what is happening is what is up there. What is going on is what is controlling it under it.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So I started asking myself, what is really going on? And I found out something, that among all the MLM systems or direct selling systems that I've actually promoted over the years, that these guys have a system that consistently presents their vision every week in front of their audience, every week. And they were willing to spend anything to do that. They were willing to make sure that they spend anything to make sure that these distributors come to listen about their brand every single week. And that's how I realized that, this is why these guys are actually making the profit. And that takes me back to vision. So vision is creating a well-defined statement that tells the people where you are headed. Now, when we've talked about the vision, how can you create a vision that people will buy? They are not the same. So you can create a vision that people cannot buy. You can also create a vision that people will buy. So they are not the same. So how can you create a vision that will include people, a vision that people will buy, a vision that will speak to people? The first thing that you should do when you are about to sell your vision first is to sell to yourself. You must sell your vision to yourself. You must sell your vision to yourself. You must sell your vision to yourself to the point that you cannot wait to tell it to the next person. You must agree that this vision is true, irrespective of what anybody thinks. You must believe in your vision. People can feel the energy in your vision when you speak about it. People can literally touch this future you're talking about. That is one. The second thing that you should do is that you must begin to paint a picture for people. You must learn the art of painting pictures. So when I say I'm going to tell my story, I'm going to tell my story again. And I'm going to give an example. When I was dating my wife, I did something quite interesting. It came to a point where it looks like I can see you, you're smiling.
Yeah, no, I'm very interested in this story. Like very, very interested in this story.
So he looked at a point, I'm like, this girl who they do shakara. Sorry if you're not a Nigerian audience. I'm like, I'm trying to say that, oh, she's trying to be so, what's that word I'm trying to find? She's being proud. She's being proud. Right? So I had this girl who they do shakara. Which one is this one now? Is it that I'm too ugly that you cannot? This thing is taking time. Can't you just say yes to me? So I now realize that she's a different breed.
Yeah.
And I also did not want to find a woman who will just fall on my hands, on my lap, right? I needed someone who has the understanding of her value, right? So I said, okay, fine. And I realized at that point that she was waiting for me to sell my vision. She was waiting for me to sell my vision. And that struck me. She didn't say anything. So you have to be very sensitive, right? You need to be sensitive about the people you want to sell your vision to. You need to be sensitive about your environment and all that. So I was sensitive. So I said, okay, fine. So now it's time to sell. So what I did was I had a meeting with her. So in that meeting, I went to her. I went to see her at the workplace. It was more of a free time. So we got talking. And I got into my future. If you meet me at that moment, you will want to go, you will feel like I'm already in that future, right? So I started speaking to her. I started telling her every single thing I wanted to achieve, or I hope to achieve. Now, another thing is, which I will talk in the preceding point, is that whatever I was saying was true. That is another important point.
Yeah.
Don't sell a lie as a vision. Whatever I was saying was true.
You were not just throwing lumber.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't just throwing. So I got into my future, and I started showing her my life map. I could show her, she could feel it. I could tell her the possibilities. How I want to take her around the world. I have, and one of my vision is to visit all the continents of the world before I leave this earth. So visit each and every one of them before I leave this earth.
Yeah.
Whether you call it Antarctica, whether you call it North America, whether you call it South, I wanted to visit all. So I told her, I have started this journey. This is where I've visited, and the lady bought into the vision. Today she's my wife. So you must be able to paint pictures.
Okay. Yeah.
And now we have a beautiful daughter, right?
Oh,
So so I was able to paint pictures. So imagine I just have a vision and I wasn't able to paint a picture. Now, how do you paint picture? You have to bring real pictures if it calls for that. Like real pictures, mental, physical, whatever tool that you need to use it. You are trying to sell it. And every entrepreneur is a salesman first. You're a salesman first before any other thing. Okay. So another thing is your vision has to be exciting. That when people think about it alone, it excites them. Okay. It has to be exciting. And for it to be exciting, which takes me to the next point, it has to be something that they are passionate about, something that inspires, right? So somebody that that believe in making the world a better place by protecting the ozone layer and all that, and in your vision is seeing that you believe in renewable energy alternative. You guys are using, maybe you're a production company, you're using alternative source of energy. That's it. You sold to the person. Okay, you sold to the person, and that applies to every other structure you want to apply to your vision. Okay, and again, if you are a leader of an organization, it simply means that you are above in terms of hierarchy. Okay, so if you are above, it means that people look up to you. So when somebody is looking up to you, what does that mean? It means the person is expecting something higher, right? from up there down to where they are. And that takes me to the next point. Your vision must be a big idea, a bigger cause than the people you're selling to. It has to be a big idea. It means that you have to think big. There's a book by Brent called Think Big, an interesting book. Okay, you have to think big. You don't need to see the possibility as a vision, as a visionary, or as the founder of the company. You just need to believe in whatever it is that you've thought about. Let me give Yomi Drop as an example. I love that brand, right?
Thank you very much.
Now, someone out there, you're welcome. Someone out there will say, "Oh, so how will the Yomi Drop achieve this goal? How can you deliver cake without anything happening to your cake and your pastries? How? Leave the how to God.
Yeah.
Just focus on the vision, right?
Yeah.
Today, people are going to space. If you want to understand if how works, go to Elon Musk and then look at what the guy has created. These guys are just crazy, man. So your duty is to think big. It's your duty. It's just your duty. I understand that while we are growing up, a lot of things may have affected our reasoning. A lot of things may have affected our ability to think big. But it's also our duty to reprogram our mind, to see things the way they should be. So, and to wrap up the point for vision, you can't be a leader people will follow without the vision that they believe in. You can't be a leader people will follow without the vision that they believe in. Right? So, because your vision has to solve a problem. We live in a world where the men who control the economy or move things in this world are people that provide solutions. And you have to solve a problem. They have a need. And then that takes me to the second foundation, which is what? Influence. So how do you influence people? Now you've saw the vision. There has to be a continuous process that can keep these people. Oh, fine, we've seen your vision. What keeps them? And that's where influence comes in. So the first thing the first point on that influence that I noted is you have to be honest.
Okay.
You have to be honest. I was talking recently with my brother, and we're having a discussion, and we're talking about something we observe in the way people, live there. We're just talking about people's character and attitude. And there was this example we are citing, about someone, and we realized that there is this manipulative form of leadership, and that's wrong because it has a time frame. It can't last. You can't manipulate for people. You can manipulate. So even when we talk about leaders, you also have to ask yourself, what will I be known for in the end? When people call my name, what comes to their mind? What will I be known for? Okay, so you have to be honest, right? Whatever it is that you say that you will do, you try as much. You may not do all. There are situations that will come when things change. Get back to your team and let them, things are changing. This is how it is now. And trust me, people are interested in people who are interested in them. It's a natural phenomenon. When people know that you're interested in them, they will be interested in you. They will carry your vision like it's theirs. And that's your duty, to make sure that they carry this stuff like it's their own. It becomes their vision. It's no longer your vision. It's now our vision. So it has to go from your vision to our vision. Until it becomes our vision, you've not really succeeded as a leader. Okay? And the next thing is vulnerability. And this is where a lot of people who are leading today in businesses or organizations fail. We don't want to be vulnerable. And I have realized that vulnerability is one of the greatest forms of power as a leader, not a weakness. not a weakness. So we have people.
Sorry.
Who,
So I'm sure. Sorry. I'm sure I got that well, because I'm trying to take as much notes as I can. So you say vulnerability. It's actually a form of power, not a weakness.
It's one
right?
of the yes, not a weakness. Yes, it's one of the greatest forms of power, not a weakness.
Great.
When people understand that you are human and you can make mistakes, right? What happens? You open them up they open themselves up to you. So at that point, you can tap into the state of mind of that person and know what they think per time, because it is risky for you to be a leader in an organization and don't know how your team thinks. You must understand how they think. You must understand their state of mind. You must be able to be sensitive to know when this person, even without the person telling you, I'm getting tired, I'm getting worn out by this work. You must be able to sense it when you converse with them. And one of the ways to do that is to be vulnerable. To tell them, man, I'm tired today. I don't even know. In fact, that moment you feel that you just don't know how to continue. You are overwhelmed by the entire demands of business. Sometimes you don't even know how you're going to pay salaries. Call one of them and say, this is what I'm feeling like. I'm not telling you this because our company is going to close today, but I just want to speak to you. I just want to speak to a friend. You don't know what that means. Because this is actually what lots of companies don't do, or lots of leaders don't do. They bottle it up all inside to appear very bold and powerful. No, that's not leadership. So leadership is also in vulnerability. So you have to be vulnerable. In that way, when you are vulnerable, you can influence these people. You can make them your friends. You can't build a team without friends. You need to have friends. So you need to come down from your high horse, if that exists, to where they are, right? It's difficult. You see, I'm going to use the story of Jesus Christ. They said that it was difficult for people to know who was Christ among the disciples. It was difficult. What does that mean? It means you can even see it when he had to wash their feet. That's servant leadership, and that has to be the way for you to be able to sell to your team, right? Because what I'm telling you now is a sales process. So you just don't have to force it down to their throat. These are the process you have to follow for you to sell to your team. Because sometimes people think that sales is moving out there. The highest form of sales is relationship. See, all this thing I'm saying is actually relationship. Influence is actually anchored on relationship. And that's the highest form of sales. So another one is culture. See, culture is quite interesting. When you talk about culture, how you begin to program the behaviors of people, when you begin to create something that people look up to, right? When you begin to create an environment that is addictive for people to come into, you have to create that environment. Why is it important? Because if you don't create a culture-centric environment, people are going to come with their own and impress it upon the organization. People are coming from different backgrounds. Maybe this person have faced abuse in time past. You don't know. This person have faced this. This person have faced that. This person faced a different kind of upbringing, a different kind of nurture from parents and all that. So you have to create a system that everyone will have to align with. And it starts with you, because your organization as a founder reflects your core values. It reflects your personality. So when you come to an organization that is amazing, the way they are spoken to, the way maybe you went to a barbering salon and you're having an amazing experience, whatever you see there is actually a reflection of the founder of that organization. Okay?
Yeah.
And it is important to take note of this, because today we have the war where employees or the most talented are being hunted for. So Imagine when that is the case for you. What will now make him when he gets an offer to leave the beautiful offer and stick with you?
Stick with you. True. Yeah.
It's a culture. The culture has to be there. You have to be vulnerable, like I said. You have to be honest with them. You have to be their friend. That they will even come and tell you, see, we got this offer from these people. He's telling you.
Yeah.
Instead of him making his decision and running away. So the next point is selflessness. So when we talk about selflessness, we are talking about thinking about other people beyond yourself.
Oh.
Thinking about other people beyond yourself, right? So, and I had this situation when we started a project for a client, and we had a challenge at the beginning part of that project. And what was the problem, or what was the challenge? We tendered an invoice, and we realized that the company or the organization have a policy of 60-day invoicing.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
that's not what we do at our agency, right? If we are going to go into dinner, we have a max of 30 days. And in fact, in our calculation, their 60 days was actually 90 days. And we did not know, right? And this is an organization we want to work with. And we already have our team, okay, who worked with us. And we needed to make sure that, we put everything in order, and we have to go out of our way. I have to make sure that we go out of our way to, put things right, because it no longer was about me. Whatever it is that we're having with this organization was with them. But our team have to be happy.
True.
So I had to put myself out of that picture. And I knew that was the right thing to do at that moment. Right? And when your organization understands, or when your team understands that you have that selfless, it's our nature, that self will always come, right? Humans will have that challenge, right? But it is in you having a set of core values. What are your core values? What are the things that guide you as a person? Okay, these are the things that begins to program you to ensure that whatever relationship you're building is controlled by those core values, right? So, and these are the things that anyone who wants to really sell to the team should put into consideration. You have, for you to really influence, these are the things you have to look at. And talking about core values, it's one of the things that is actually interesting, because I remember that when I was actually making all the moves to, with my wife, going through all those process, and I had to, and one of the things she told me was that she puts, because I was close to her, and she was seeing how I execute my day activities. So, she was seeing my process. So whatever I want to do, it doesn't run away from me.
Okay.
You get? And I use a to-do list. So, and I could remember clearly that when we were talking, I asked her also, what do you want in a man? And I remember her saying that she needs a leader. And guess what? My action didn't, or my personality did not emerge when I saw her. It was who I have always been. So I asked myself, are you really this person that she wants to have in her life? And I answered that question to myself, right? So, and talking about core values, you have to put core values that should inspire these people, or that should align to them, because when you are setting up this structure, basically we're discussing also is what you can find in the brand identity guideline or brand strategy guideline. So these things are is actually necessary for me. So when we tell organizations, invest in your brand system or the brand programs. These are the reasons, because you're going to sell to them. And if you don't have the necessary tool or the right tool, what will you sell to them with, right? So I think those are just a few points of mine, that because I wanted to really make sure that I capture what is necessary. But this can help anybody who wants to sell to his organization, right? Like I said, there are higher other information or ideas, but on basically, okay, this should work for anybody. Yeah.
You know, like there's no way we're going to cover everything, because even the ones you've listed, it will start digging deep in, because you know, like I said, I've been taking notes, and I just quickly want to run, you know, back to some of the comments you made, or some of the things you made that I found really interesting, and maybe just give us a point, more like more points on it, or just help me better understand. Now, you know, I like the fact when you talked about painting a picture, like you have to sell, you know, of course you sell to yourself first, and then you have to paint a picture to the other person. Now you use your relationship with your wife, and I love the way you put it, that, you know, everything is centered or anchored on relationship, because we need to understand that business is also a form of relationship. It is another form of relationship. It's not just there and relationship, because you are relating with people. Like you rightly say, everything is centered around people. Now, in selling, I believe when you sold the vision to her, you made her, like, she saw herself in your vision. She saw herself in your future. She saw how this is beneficial to her. Because it's not just about selling where I want my business to be in the next 10 years. Where do I want my teammates, or where do I want my team members or members of my staff to be alongside with the business? Because as the business is developing, is growing and all that, it's safe to say the person will feel more, or now you're going to build influence, and the person will feel more aligned to your values, to your culture, to your vision, and give their all in it, because when you painted that picture, they saw themselves in that picture. I don't know if I'm right, if that's what you meant there. Yes. So painting a picture is actually a strategy that actually works for everyone, because even when an organization, there is also what we call vision assessment or growth assessment. So when your brand is growing, you need to also be certain that what we said before is what is happening now. You should always follow through to make sure that even the people who are working, because could be pressure, work pressure can come in, a lot can come in, right? A lot can come in, and it can affect the speed at which things should work. It can be too fast, it can be too slow. But you must always gauge alignment to the vision, and you must always gauge the alignment of the team with the vision per time. So you have to always check up to make sure that even if there was alignment at the beginning, are they aligned now? And one of the ways to do this, which we do in our organization or in our agency, is to put out a document, a survey document, right? To check how they are feeling at the moment, right? Because our team, particularly part of our team that works with a very demanding client. So, and it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of mental work, you know, sometimes they experience burnout. So checking up to see if they are actually well aligned, and if their mental health is even all right, because these guys can't actually even get to run with the vision if they are not mentally sound, right? So so painting pictures primarily is quite essential. Painting pictures is quite essential. Like I said, there are different ways you can paint a picture. You can paint a picture using the mind. You can paint a mental picture. You can paint a visual picture. Okay, visual also sells
very well than mental, right? So,
Yeah.
so I think that's basically, if you watch most organizations, when they want to onboard their team, especially fresh team, they take them to a different destination. They take these things so serious. I think it's only this part of the world that we don't even know how essential this. They take it so serious. They could just go to a big resort and lodge them and put them in a very comfortable environment. And they're going to go through different, sessions, two different sessions.
Yeah.
And they are going to have interesting people come speak to them. All right? They're going to see pictures. They're going to see. So that's these things you don't understand. So most organizations don't understand until when you now get to interact with these people, with the team. Oh, you can see how much. And sometimes you see them, they are all aligned. They are doing the same thing. It looks like it's a robotic system, right? But it's because somebody has paid the price of selling that idea to these people. And whenever your team gets to buy your vision, you're actually very close to your success. I would say you actually succeeded. Your duty is to ensure that you consistently reminded. There is a place to remind your team. There is a place because that's also where some leaders miss it out.
Yeah.
You've sold, but you need to remind them. So there has to be a system, a routine. It could be bi-weekly, it could be bi-monthly, it could be depending on, you can do it the 4 quarters, choose one day in each quarter, or 2 or 3 days to get to this. So this is how you can be able to consistently carry them along, right? And don't always assume that your team are aware of some happenings within the system. There are things that may happen. Don't assume. You get them to know. I mean, the things that they need to know, right? The things you know that they need to know. Get them to know. Yeah.
Like I really, like what you said there, because it's like every relationship needs maintenance, just like you're saying now. You sold a vision to your wife, and consistently till death do you guys apart, you will have to keep reminding her of this vision. You have to keep reselling this vision to her. It's what we call a maintenance service of some sort. And there's something I believe in. Yeah, as much as, especially, I tell business owners, especially small business owners, that you guys are blessed. You're lucky, or you are blessed at this point, because at this point you're able, even as a business owner, to interact directly with almost everyone in your team. Now, it might be different for big businesses, multinationals, and like the likes of Apple and so, because there's so many ladders there's so many levels and all that. But at least it's important for you. Let's even say you're a big business. It's important for you as the owner to actually have that interaction. Now, yes, I'm more of like the structure and everything, but I believe there are some interaction that shouldn't happen via paper and all. There are some interaction that should be one-on-one, like talk to the person, look the person in the eyes and ask the person, how are you today? What's up with your family? How is your daughter? These are the things that help us build influence over the people we work with. So let's find a place where, because just like you said, it's a continuous interaction. Because when the person believes that you care about me, then I will care about what you care about. So that's where you said the vision has to change from your vision to our vision till you successfully remove the why there and make it our vision. Then you've not succeeded. And for everything, I keep looking at the whole point, like being vulnerable, like, and it's one thing. In fact, let's keep that vulnerability part, because we're going to get back to that particular one. But for everything you keep saying, one word keep ringing in my ears for every point you keep raising, and that is empathy. Empathy. The ability to like put yourself in the shoe of members of your team and all. And you said something interesting. Absolutely. when you made the illustration about Jesus and all. Like there's something John Maxwell said, I came across like a couple of years back. He said, as leaders, we're like here, and our team members are like here and all. And most leaders, what they do is that they stay here and then they keep expecting you to like just come up, like come up to where I am, or they keep shouting their orders and everything, do this right. So these are some of the leaders that are like that. So the two types of leaders, the first one just stay here and then keep giving the directive, giving the instruction, waiting for you to mess up and tell you, oh, you've messed up. Like they will give you query, you didn't do this right. But there are other leaders that what they now do, understanding that the first tactics isn't working, they climb down from that high place to your level to help you, like, okay, what are you not getting right? Okay, how do we help you do this better? How do we help you? How do we help you work better? And you find that it's easier for them to come down from that top rung to where their members are and drag them up. Like it's easier for them to like come down. It's just like I'm in the highest staircase and all, and I come down and I hold you by my hand. Okay, now let's walk this journey back up. I take you to where I am now. So typical what, using the illustration of Jesus Christ, you talked about him washing the feet of the disciples and all, and then you can't tell them apart, because now remember that this is God in flesh. He had to derobe his divinity. He had to reduce himself to our level. He had to come down from that place to our own place in order to take us up to where to the place where he is now. So I believe empathy is important and all, because like I said, when you were dropping the points, empathy kept ringing in my ear and all. Maybe, but I don't know what you have to say about that.
You're very right. And I'm going to share a little discussion I had with my wife, quite close with her. So we're talking about an observation. She sings, so she's part of the team, and to observe different characteristics of people and share our thoughts and our opinions about that. I'm also going to add a point to, in fact, the point I'm actually trying to add is part of what I'm about to say. And that is being able to listen to opinion of your team.
Yeah.
Being able to listen to opinion, because if you're empathic, you have empathy, it means that you begin to come down to that point where, yes, I understand that I may not be agreeing entirely with this point. This is not actually it. Yes, we are all in that position. Sometimes you just want this thing to happen.
Yeah.
We just want this thing to happen. Exactly. We don't have time. We just want this thing to be executed. This is not easy. But what makes you a leader then? Why are you a leader? And everything we are also saying today is anchored on, because we have kinds of leadership or type of leadership. It's anchored on servant leadership. A leader is a servant. Let's understand it first. You're a servant, and that's the only way you can influence. So a situation happened, and she was just sharing with me about a certain leader, within a group. And it happened that this guy, each time he doesn't agree, or is a team member doesn't agree to him, guess what happens? The next result or response to that disagreement is suspension. So I suspend you. Oh, I take you off. So it's now, and I'm like, I was telling her, I said, that's not leadership. This guy doesn't even understand what leadership is. Way far from what leadership is. Leadership is not impunity. Leadership doesn't have to come from a place of prescription. You have to be someone who always listens to people's opinion. Because, like I said, people see things with different lenses. So you have to see things from their own point of view. And that is when you can be able to sell something. Something could have happened over time. And the way they see things is different from the way you're seeing stuff. So that's why it's important for you to have that empathy, to see things the way they see things, to know what their pain points are, right?
Yeah.
And guess what? When people understand that despite the fact that you don't owe it to them to come down to see things, but that's what your position demands.
True.
And they notice that you always come to have that conversation. I'll give you an instance. part of what we discussed about was the situation was one of the musicians or singers in that team, they gave the guy a role to play, the guy and the lady. So the guy himself didn't really, so he was meant to perform the next day, 2 days after, right? Whereas they've given him the role on the Monday, so it was on a Friday. So the role came to the guy, and it happened to be that they were telling him, oh, you are going to now do a different song from the one that we had given you on a Monday. So common sense tells you that this guy is tough, and he's telling you, I don't feel comfortable with this. This will be challenging, and I need your opinion. I'm telling you how I feel. So guess what? The guy took offense and told him, okay, you know what? And he didn't even tell the guy directly. He told the team, the bigger team, right? The leadership team, that this guy is not going to be performing for the next 1 month. And the guy is not aware. So you see the way people understand leadership. So what you're doing is you're creating a structure for failure. You're creating a structure for failure. So imagine the guy finds out tomorrow that is what is happening above him. So trust has been smeared. There's no trust. And he can't perform. He can't be at his peak. So when there is empathy, stuff like this doesn't happen. So empathy is actually really, really the root cause. So allow people to air their opinion. You may not always buy into their opinion. There are people that are very opinionated. You will have them in your team.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the things the thing helps to groom me. I'm also that kind of person that wants you to just get things going.
Sure.
And I believe that you should listen to what I'm saying. But over time, self-development and opening myself to materials, I try to really understand what this thing called leadership is. So in our agency, so our team, the guy that is the lead creative, that is senior designer. So the guy seems to he tells you the way it is. And then at the beginning, I kind of had a little challenge. But later on, I knew that this guy is being real and this guy is not wrong. So I now want to always hear from him. Oh, okay, so what do you think? And he shares his idea, and it has always been fruitful. So listening to your team is fruitful. Empathy is important. When people feel that they don't have the capacity to do something because they are disadvantaged, you have to listen to them. You have to find a way to solve that problem. Sometimes you can even tell them, okay, I'm relieving you of your duty for today. Just go home. People want to see people who are interested in them. That's how you're going to build a very great team, right?
Yeah, I can't be, as in, I can't agree more. I wish I can say I couldn't just but agree with this. People are interested in people that are interested in them, and the same way we know that people, until they trust us, they will not buy. It's the same formula there.
Yeah.
And in being interested in them, it goes to the vulnerability part. I don't, especially in Nigeria, or especially, okay, I want to use Nigeria because I'm in Nigeria. I don't know what's happening in other parts, but in Nigeria here, I find vulnerability to be a huge challenge for most leaders or for most business leaders, because they find it as a weakness. It's like a man saying that I don't want to cry in front of my wife. Why will I? Yeah. They see it as a weakness. Exactly. Or I don't want to cry in front of my girlfriend and everything. They see it as a weakness because they feel that if I'm going to be vulnerable, funny thing, there was this interview I watched on YouTube, Founders Connect. I've forgotten just one of the series on YouTube, and I love what the lady said. The co-founder of Bankly, when they had this issue during the COVID-19 era and all, and then they were they had 4 months. The money in their account would just take them for 4 months and all. And after 4 months, if they don't make money before the 4 months, they practically wouldn't have any money to pay. So she was battling between, should I tell these guys or we're going through, should I be vulnerable? And she was like, if I become vulnerable with them, like some people will leave because they were like, or some people will just, let me just stay here for the 4 months and then and just at least collect my salary for the 4 months and then jabba the next, like just leave the afterwards and all. She was majorly conflicted and all, and she took advice and all that. At the end of the day, she opened up and told them, "Oh, say, okay, guys, see what's going on. Like, we have 4 months. Like, what we have can take us through 4 months. And after that, if we don't make any, like, if money don't, it's not even about making profit. If money doesn't come in, we won't be able to cover. So we are faced with either relieving people or cutting at least 50% of the salary so that we're able to, like." And to her surprise, they were like, okay, so she told them, like, this is the option, like, so we either cut salaries by 50% right now so that it takes us for the next 8 months. You understand? So we can go for the next 8 months, or we stay the course for 4 months and then hope that by the end of the 4 months we get, as in, the money comes in. So at the end of that town hall meeting, she was surprised that they all came together like, okay, see, let's not cut salary for the next, let's not cut salary by 50%. Let's stay the course. Well, what we are assuring, or what we are promising, is that nobody will leave this business in the next 6 months. Like, we're all going to stay here and ensure that the money comes in. And by God's grace, they were able to turn it around. So, like, this happened because she came out, she became vulnerable. Now let me contrast it with something that is more personal to me. Now, I moved to Abuja 2019, and when I got to Abuja 2019, I first got this job as a design, it started as a designer, then I moved to I handled the public relations of the company and all. Like, it was a new company, a budding company, recent off, like, they got these grants from government and everyone. It was into agro-allied things, or agriculture, per se. And, of course, unfortunately, some of the calamities or the disasters that happened in the north, the banditry, we had fire incidents, bandits kidnapping farmers, like some of them, and these affected the turnaround or the products and everything per se. So it got to a point, like 6 months into the job and everything, everybody was working, an amazing team, everybody was together. And at the end of the day, by the end of the 6th month, they stopped paying. Like, in fact, the next 2 months, the 7th and the 8th month, I believe, the 6th and the 7th month, this happened 5 months, the 6th and the 7th month, no, they were not able to pay anybody. And the thing is that the guys, because I spoke with some of, like, as a team, we all talk together and all, like, we all interact and everything. So we understood what was going on and all. And for something, we were like waiting for someone to come and tell us, okay, see, this is what is happening. Like, we understand that it's not easy for you guys. It's been a month now. It's been 2 months now. Nobody, like, we know you're not, but nobody said that. In fact, people were just tongue lashing, like, what are we even doing, Seth? Like, what are you guys doing? Like, this thing, like, everybody was just walking as if it's not your business, and you've forgotten that this is actually people. And we're in Abuja, for crying out loud. I know it's not at least that back then was still 2019, but it's still Abuja. it's still Abuja and everything and all. So at the end of the 2nd month, people just left. Like, I myself, I left as well, because I felt it was arrogant. I felt it was like you were being insensitive. There was nothing stopping me, because by the grace of God, I still was running my businesses, my design business and all. There was nothing stopping me to stay the course, but you were not vulnerable. And this was the same situation with the other members that left, because you didn't tell them anything. So what were you expecting? You're expecting some sort of forced loyalty because you used to pay me for the past 5 months when I delivered the work and everything. Yes, we understand that tragedies hit, but come on now, talk to us. that was just what they wanted. That was just what everybody was. So you see these two scenarios and all. It shows you that there is power in being, just like you said, it's a higher form of strength. It's a higher form of strength when you're vulnerable. Yeah. Yes, let's be honest. Like we're not trying to tell you this. What we're saying is that nothing is perfect. We're not trying to say every member of your team will buy into it. There will always be a Judas amongst the 12. There will always be someone playing an angle. But this reduces, just like you said, when someone gets a better deal, people no longer work because of the money. They will now work because they enjoy the culture. They actually enjoy it. They see themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the reason why no matter how much flashy cars or much more handsome men, in quote, or richer men your wife sees outside, she'll always come back to you as the husband because she's safe and secured. Like her future, everything is safe and secured with you, no matter what any man out there is willing to offer her or it's offering her as well. So that's we as leaders or business leaders need to see that vulnerability. I don't know if there's anything you want to add on that, but I believe it's a good point for every leader.
While we're talking, something just flashed my mind, and I think part of what we've so far is territorial or environmental influence when it comes to vulnerability. The African people have grown, maybe by history, into that mindset that you have to appear stern and strong.
Be the strong man always, yeah.
For you, so leadership to the African man means being strong and means being in charge 24/7. And you see, that has also affected the male gender. This is another topic that we're getting into. I'm dragging a bit of it into what we are saying. That has actually affected the male gender. Do you realize that we don't cry? Do you just realize that we can't just tell, you know what you're going through, you're building a business. You know what it means to build a business in Nigeria. You have an understanding of it. You know what it means to fight the wars and the battles. And sometimes you look around, there is nobody to cry to. There is nobody to talk to. Because you have to be a man, you have to man up.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that is actually the same system that we've carried into organizational leadership. So, because it has to start from yourself, and that's why I made that. That's why I laid that foundation at the beginning. That everything we are talking about is about people, from the people who build the city, to the people who are in a family. Okay, so it has to start from, and that's one of the things I want to tell my children: learn to be vulnerable, but also learn to be in charge. There is a balance.
You
have to be in charge.
True.
You have to be in charge, because if your life becomes a life of vulnerability always, it means that you're not in charge. It means that you're not a leader. Learn to be vulnerable once in a while. That's the balance. Once in a while, when there is a need to be, there is always the time that it has gone above your head. Leave it all. Let people know that I'm human, right?
Sure.
I understand that I have God's strength in me, but I also can falter. That is why God is omniscient. He's all powerful. He has all the powers and all the strengths that be, right? And we are all working towards perfection. So saying that, or making that point, to let you know that that's one of the influence, or one of the things that has influenced us, that has affected us in that area of being vulnerable. It's part of the environmental factors. Okay, and we need to begin to rewrite, and that's exactly why these sessions are important, why these conversations are happening. We need to begin to change the narrative. We need to begin to let people know that leadership doesn't have to be that way. You have to be vulnerable when there is a need. That's how you can make somebody your friend. I'll paint another picture, which will be the last thing I will say. Can you imagine coming into, this is actually interesting. Can you imagine coming into a train, right? And you just boarded the train. Or you are flying to a city, moving to Lagos, to Abuja to Lagos, and you have a neighbor, right? and you can try this, and you want to connect to this person, but you don't know how to connect to this person. Guess what? When I told you that vulnerability is one of the forms of power, or is a higher form of power, and this is a typical example to back up that fact. Imagine the person is sitting down to you. You want to talk to this person. You feel this person could be a friend that I can build business relationship with, but you don't know how to talk to this person. That's what we call breaking the ice. What do you think you should do? Or what system do you think that should work? I believe vulnerability is one of them.
Yeah.
Telling this person a story. Oh, a personal story, something that is worrying you. Please, I have something that is bothering me. Can I share with you? That question alone opens up the person. People want to be solution providers for real.
Yeah.
And then you begin to let the person know, oh, I came into this vehicle. In fact, I want to start up a business. I don't know how to start. I have this problem about setting up a team, or I want to source for funds. You may not look for funds, so you don't even look like you're asking for money. But tell him a problem. Share your problem with the person and watch how this person is going to respond. 95% of the people, we want to find a way to solve your problem by providing solutions to you. What have you been able to do? You've created a connection.
Sure.
You've created a connection because you're vulnerable. This person will begin to think, I don't know you before. Why do you trust me so well to solve a problem for you? You were vulnerable. That's power.
Yeah.
So, and if you watch great leaders from Mahatma Gandhi to name them, Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, watch their life, watch how they were able to influence people. They were vulnerable.
True.
They were vulnerable at the time. So it's a very, very important. It's a very, very important quality of leader. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. We should definitely have a second part for this, because I'm just looking at the time now. I know I have to let you go, but definitely I'm going to pen it down. We're going to have a part B on this conversation, and maybe we'll take it more to the we'll talk more about this vulnerability and all. But I want to thank you for giving us your time today, and it's been impactful. It's been like there was tons of things you said. I just kept like penning it down because I didn't want to miss anything at all. So thank you so much for joining us today. And like I said, we're definitely going to have a part B of this and all. And my regards to Wifey and the new princess in town and all. So my regards and all. Thank you so much for joining us. So guys, you've heard it. It's all about empathy. It's all about opening yourself up to your team and all. It's I know we did there's so much to this and all, and I know we'll find ways to break it more for you in the coming sessions and all. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Until the next time, I'm still like Ojibe. Peace.